It's your guy, Coach Raj, author of You Can Win Being You, creator of From Message to Movement channel. You don't control where you start. You don't control every obstacle, but you do control your shape. And that's what changes everything. I like to say that when you look in the mirror, you are your shape. SHAPE is an acronym that I've created that addresses what you truly can control. And it's designed to make you feel empowered. The S in SHAPE represents standards. Standards are the minimum you're willing to accept from yourself. Now, we all have to have them. Yes, other people can try to impose standards on us, and in certain settings, that's normal. If you go to school, there are standards. If you go on the job, there are standards. If you live with your parents, there are standards. At the same time, you have your own standards. And so, me, for example, when I was younger, and this might surprise some people because I generally got good grades and everything in school, but my standard was pretty much to get by. And so it did limit me when I was younger. However, when I got into adulthood and experienced certain things and met certain people, I understood that I needed to raise my standard because I was capable of so much more. If you truly are looking to get ahead in life and accomplish certain things, you have to raise your standard. You have to basically raise what you expect of yourself. You can have goals, but if you don't change your standards, chances are you're not going to reach your goals. The H in SHAPE stands for habits. Habits are those activities, those actions that you take every day. Now, of course, there are good habits and there are bad habits. And so obviously, we want to have good habits. But here's the challenging thing about habits. Those ones that tend to make us feel good initially, or that they're really easy, they tend to harm us in the long run. For example, a lot of the food that we eat really pleasures us initially. It's yummy, it's very rich. It's stuff that we lean toward. It's sweet, and those are all things that we're inclined to say, you know what, I want more of that. But then in the long run, it can cause us a lot of issues. It could cause us a lot of health problems. And so that's just an example of an easy habit to pick up, but it harms you down the line. Whereas the good habits, they're a little bit difficult to pick up on. For example, exercising. Exercising takes effort, it takes discipline, and oftentimes we lean away from the good habits. But the good habits pay off in the long run, and they oftentimes make things easier for us in the long run. And so we got to make sure that we have good habits. Habits are those things that we do pretty consistently, and they're going to lead to certain outcomes. They're going to either lead to good outcomes or bad outcomes. The A in SHAPE stands for attitude. Now, for me, I feel like attitude pretty much influences everything else in your shape. Because if you have a positive can do attitude, then you're going to be more likely to have good habits. You're going to be more likely to embrace standards. And so, yes, attitude is something that influences everything in SHAPE. And so, with your attitude, it's pretty much saying that, hey, you don't have to be the most talented. But when people see that you have a certain type of vibe, they're going to feel good about you. They're going to want to be around you. And when you have that vibe even for yourself, you're going to attract a certain type of energy. And so it's so important to have a good attitude, good vibes, as they say. The P in SHAPE stands for progress. And so here's what I want you to understand. You don't have to be perfect, but you need to make progress. And so perfection oftentimes comes from comparison, comparing ourselves to someone else or even some ideal that a lot of times is not even realistic. What's realistic is making progress, growing. And here's the thing, you can grow at any time in your life. You can become better at something. Becoming better is relative. So you want to make progress, and you are responsible for that. At the end of the day, it is on you, it's not on the next person. You have a choice in making progress. The last C in your shape is effort. Effort is the one thing that no one can take from you. Here's the reality, you can lose games, you can have a bad day on the job, you may struggle in a relationship, but your effort is always a choice. And here's the thing, effort pretty much compounds itself. And so when you put forth the efforts, eventually you're going to get some results. Now, with that being said, sometimes we got to tweak our efforts. We got to make sure that we are giving the correct effort that results in the action that we want. But generally, effort is going to work if we're making the right moves. It might not happen immediately, but it will happen. And so you are responsible for your effort. And so, lastly, your shape determines how far you go, especially when life is not giving you advantages, when you feel life is not being quite fair. You are responsible for your shape. Again, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be famous. You just need to protect your shape. Because when your shape is right, your future has room to grow. Subscribe to my channel. Talk to you next time.